All right, so I guess since it's past 7, I'll open this meeting. Randy, I don't have anything to read off of, so pretty much we'll just follow your lead if you need me to read anything, but we're not opening any public hearings or anything, so I don't
No,
think
we're not.
So I'll let you just lead and we'll just kind of do our discussion and vote thing.
Yeah, I'll just say, just to put it on the record, I guess, agenda, Charlton Planning Board, June 3rd, 2020, Planning Board meeting, remote meeting event at 7 p.m. So we call the meeting to order. The first 3 items that we have are 3 A&R plans that I've submitted, sent you a copy of the plans. The first one, I'm sorry, I'm getting up here because I'm looking at them as I'm talking. Make sure I'm talking about the right one.
I see you.
Yeah, the property on East Bailey's Road, they have subdividing the lot into 2 lots. Both lots will be now conforming lots. It's very straightforward A&R. So we had an issue with the plan on the garage near the side setback. They had to move the lot line over to make it work, which they did. So now everything is compliant on the property for 2 legal lots. Does everybody have a copy of that, or?
Yeah.
I can try to open it here and see what happens, but.
I have it. I can see it.
Does anybody have any questions?
No, I don't have any.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we need to do a roll call vote?
I
Oh,
was just gonna
yes.
say, I know in a previous meeting, you have to identify who made the motion on record.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Jane is on. I don't, actually, it might be helpful.
And are we
because
recording?
Yes, I am recording the meeting.
So we're recording it also. Who made the motion? We'll just do it the right way, just in
Alicia.
case. Who made
Alicia did.
the motion? Who seconded?
Dawn did.
Rod.
But Dawn.
Sketch and John. Yes.
Hi. Yes.
Yes. Dawn. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, motion passes. The second application is for Wakefield Drive. This one, just to give you a little background, if you're trying to figure out what's going on here, the property is numbered house number 6 on Wakefield Drive. It's parcel 1 of 5.8 acres. The owner of the property of house number 6 on Wakefield Drive is purchasing the land behind his property up to the town line of Leicester. The property actually overlaps the town line and goes into Leicester. So the owner of the property on Wakefield Drive is purchasing the land on the Charlton side of that property. And actually, Jean, did you have any discussion about that?
I couldn't get a hold of who I wanted to talk with. But I think it's okay just as long as the person on Wakefield Drive, if he is aware that the person buying it from does have a right of way on the other property to the right-hand side. I don't know whether the owner in Leicester is going to request a right of way over that parcel of land to get to his other right of way.
Okay, I will talk with the owner of Wakefield Drive to make sure that he's aware of that, and if he has any concerns, I will wait to sign the Mylar until I talk to the owner of the property to ensure that there is no issue as far as that right of way goes.
Okay.
So Randy, I assume they're going to make this one lot, the house number 6 with this extra parcel?
Right. Right now it's a separate parcel of land, but his future plans are to join it to lot number 6, house number 6. He bought it basically. He's trying to keep from any houses being built from behind him, and he's actually considering, I guess, in talks with buying one of the lots to the right of this on Smith Road. He's trying to preserve a bunch of land around him and ensure that he doesn't have any close neighbors, I guess.
Okay.
Because right now this is it'll just be an agricultural law. You can't build on it. So until it's merged with the property at house number 6, but even then it will now already have a home on it. So we couldn't build a second home on that property.
Do we have any questions?
I think Jean brought up the best question.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah,
I think out of consideration, yeah, definitely reach out and just let him know. I mean, since it's his plan, he probably knows. I would hope that his lawyer or whatever kind of, but
Yeah, you would
Yeah.
hope that somebody is aware of that, but in case they're not,
yeah,
just wanted to make them sure. And maybe the landowner in Leicester doesn't want to access that right away anymore.
Well, that would be my only concern. And whereas there are two different towns, there might not be that communication. And if he's just buying it to expand his own property, I can't imagine he's in this huge rush where us reaching out to that individual is going to cause such a ruckus by making it wait a week or two.
Right.
So that's why I will bring it to his attention, because that he might not even be aware that it actually crosses his lane, the right of way, if it does. So that I don't, he hasn't purchased it yet, and they haven't done a title search. So
Yeah, that's one thing.
information hasn't been given to him. He might not know. So I will make sure that he does know.
Well, on his property, it probably doesn't show a right on parcel number 1. Probably doesn't show a right of way because the same person who has that right of way owned that other property, and it's
Right.
on
Oh,
his
that's
own
true.
property.
Right.
So that looks like a
So-
public right away from Smith Road over, if I read that right. So there's a 50-foot
No,
wide
no,
public right.
no, it's not
Smith Road?
50 foot wide.
All right, so it says,
Oh wait,
that's the road is 50 feet wide. I got you.
Smith
Never
Road
mind. Okay,
itself.
I got you.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
that would be
only a
really
10
good.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
he at one time tried to make that 50 foot wide. Yes.
I got you. Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it pending Randy speaking to the landowner to ensure that they're aware they're okay.
Okay. Second,
Second.
all in favor? I guess we might as well just do the roll call just in case we have to. John,
Aye.
Ross,
Yes.
Dawn, I guess
Yes.
even though you second,
Yep, you still have to. Yes.
Alicia
Yes.
and myself, yes. Motion passes.
Okay, excuse me, the last property is from Galbert Engineering, parcel on Chester Hill Road. Basically, what they're doing is the gentleman is in the law. What he is doing is carving a portion of his property next door in order to make sure that she has a conforming lot when it's sold, so they can be built on.
So all they're doing is adding that little bit of frontage.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're just making sure
Gotcha.
that it meets the zoning.
Okay.
And the other lot is a much larger lot, and it's plenty of land, so it's basically almost no effect on the other property. The other
But
property
just-
has about twice the frontage it needs to meet the zoning requirements.
So we're just adding to parcel A, right? Is that's all we're doing?
Right, that little pie-shaped piece, you know, it's a 58-foot wide portion pie-shaped piece that's right at the junction of the two lots. Basically, it's a lot line adjustment.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second,
All right, roll
Jean.
call vote. I totally forgot about Eugene last time. Jean,
I know. Yes,
used to yell at me. John,
Yeah,
Ross, Dawn,
Yes.
Alicia.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion passes.
Okay, moving right along. The next one is we have a field training for MTD micromolding. I believe Jane sent you the letter from Graves Engineering this afternoon. They're basically just changing some of the grading to their driveway. Graves Engineering has already reviewed it and has no issues with the minor change in the grading of the driveway. So I recommend that the board does approve a field change for MTD micromolding.
Having seen it, I think it's absolutely fine, so I would happily make that motion.
second,
Okay, roll call vote. Jean,
yes,
John,
yes,
Ross,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay, the next one is Borrego Solar, which is on Carpenter Hill Road, and this one's it's kind of a housekeeping problem more than it is anything else. Last year, as probably most of the boards were, they came before the board. One, they had a subdivision approval, but they were also modifying their site plan, which include an ESS and some other minor changes. Graves Engineering had filed a report, had no issues with it. The only problem is the board never voted on it. So in order to say, quote unquote, make it legal, I'm requesting the board to just vote on the modification of their plan.
And what was modified on it?
They added a battery. And I understand that the current state of what we're getting with applications with batteries, but however, the board had reviewed this, in February of last year, and I don't understand that. Honestly, the bill should have had you vote on it, and he didn't, and so all I'm trying to do is to formalize the approval with the vote. At this point in time, we couldn't really open up the public hearing again to discuss this, as far as, I know opinions change on, battery storage and everything, but this one was actually done prior to all the recent changes.
Is this the one that we had questions about a neighbor that we were trying to get a hold of and couldn't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I mean, Bill, the last correspondence I had from Bill in regards to neighbor, he had basically put a letter together for her to sign, said, I need to do this by X date. She never has responded.
Yeah, okay,
But yes, it's the same project.
okay.
And the other thing they had asked for at the time is an extension, because they hadn't completed the project, and there was no like approval for an extension for them as well. So we're trying to formalize that as well.
And do we have decommissioning on this site?
I was gonna ask the exact same thing, so
Beat you to it.
is it true?
Yes, I believe. Hello, good evening. This is David Albrecht, civil engineer with Borrego Solar. Zach Farkas, our project developer, is also on the line, but he's muted right now. Yes, there is a decommissioning requirement on this project. It was originally submitted and approved through the town of Charlton through another group, not Borrego. We acquired the project from them and have obviously been carrying it forward, going through whatever changes we need to go through to make it constructible. And we've worked with Graves Engineering and yourselves over the past probably two years. I don't know if you've all read the letter that we submitted supporting this request for the extension, but back in end of actually March of last year, we were pulled into a whole utility study that was a much more massive study than just a normal, just like one project going to one distribution line, going to one substation. It was we call it an affected system operator study imposed by ISO New England, and it's started last year in March, and it's about ready to be finished very soon. And so we're looking forward to getting that, and then that would be really our last hurdle to be able to start construction on this project in March. I mean, excuse me, in the fall of this year.
Yeah, and when February of 2021 rolls around, you will just have to ask for an additional extension, because I'm sure you're not going to get it done that quickly. So
that may be true. Yes.
So in reality, this is really our kind of like admin stuff, because
yeah, it was already discussed before the board and everything. Unfortunately, it just should have been, to make it formal, it should have been done, with a motion and, the planning board voting approval of the modification. And it just, I don't know why, but it wasn't done. So I'm just trying to get it formalized now so that I can give them, formal approval and notice to proceed and everything so they can move forward.
what legally, only because, we just went through one heck of a time with decommissioning and all of this stuff. Is there really nothing we can do at this point? We have the whole entire new bond formula, and
honestly, with this particular application, I don't think so, because it was all done and approved prior. As other ones come forward in the future where they're going to be energy storage or things like that, then possibly it could be done.
Maybe I can share the amount, because if I could, Chairman, the amount of the decommissioning bond that we've agreed to with the town is $373,000, which I know that other projects that have been constructed in Charlton over the past 6 to 9 years are much less than that for the same size project.
Dave, this is Randy. Do you know what the megawatt? I just don't have it in front of me. The megawatts of this facility is.
It's 4 megawatt AC. Sorry, 3.5 megawatt AC.
And how about the battery?
The battery is I'm just looking at the plans. It's a 4.2 kilowatt hour 4.2 megawatt hour battery.
Well, Patty, just based on the, current formula that we had discussed with the last application, this one would be running a little short, but on the same note, it's a pretty large decommissioning bond considering that it was done prior. I mean, if we were to do it by the megawatts now and the battery and everything as 100,000 per megawatt, it would be more like a $450,000 bond. And they're coming up, they already are having a $373,000 bond.
There's only one
right
container
there.
battery, right? Just one?
Yeah, there's only one.
Yes.
Even so, I would say this project is probably grandfathered over, so we're lucky to have the bond.
I
Exactly.
agree,
We did something
Yeah.
right when we were looking at numbers.
so,
When you said that number, I was like, not that, we didn't do that bad on that one.
I mean, and it's based on, the circumstances with this one, I think that the board could be comfortable with the number. It might not be up to what we discussed with our last application, but it's actually a pretty fair number, all things considered.
Better than zero.
Was there ever a site plan done for the battery?
Yes.
Yes.
We reviewed that, Chairman, with the fire chief.
But yeah, that plan had gone. It was, I believe it was at the planning board meeting when you discussed it in February of last year. Yeah.
So the battery was on
the whole location of the battery and everything.
Okay. I'm getting old. I forget about the details of that.
I would make a motion then to accept as is.
And we never heard back from the
No.
the landowner
It
on
was
South
a
Ridge
couple
Road.
of responses from Bill, and then he basically wrote her final letter, like, if we don't hear you by you.
Right, I remember
we'll
that.
assume it's okay and we'll move forward. And that's the last correspondence it was.
Yeah, I remember
that
that was
was
sent
when?
certified and
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We made every effort
so-
to protect her.
so we have a motion.
Okay,
I'll
fine.
second it.
Well, it should be motion on the approval of site plan modification, then we'll do a motion on the extension.
So I'll
Yes.
do a motion on the site plan
Okay.
application, yes.
So I think
Okay.
that's because we're not so far off on our calculation, and they will need to come back after so many years and remodify the decommissioning bond, right?
Right.
Then we're not so far away. If they said it was 50,000, I would have had a
Right.
little problem. But this
Yeah.
this is reasonable. So we have a motion and a second. So roll call. John,
Abstain.
Jean,
Yes,
Ross,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
and a yes for me too. Approved with one abstain.
Okay, the second half is part of their request, as you can see in the letter, the extension of, it's more of a retroactive extension at this point, but still it had been requested, just not, no action had been taken on it, so just want to have a vote on the extension request that they had for extension till February of 2021.
okay. So moved?
Second.
Roll call vote. Jean,
Yes,
Ross,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Alicia,
Yes.
and yes for me. Alicia, I'm last on purpose. You're like last on my screen. So, because clearly I missed Jean. I have to keep on going in order.
Now, is John, you might want to roll call vote John as well, just so we can have it on record if he's still abstaining.
Oh, John,
Yeah, I'm abstaining.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
You have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
You too. We'll be in touch, Randy, to get documentation on all that.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Sounds
Have a
good.
good evening.
you too.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is one to give an update on the complete streets sidewalk grant. As you're probably aware, basically nothing's happened in a long time with this project. The last thing that had happened is the planning board has received funding for engineering design work for the sidewalks, and I guess the Bill Scanlon and taking a sidewalk maybe with you, Patsy, Mike Andrade, and possibly the highway superintendent, Jerry Foskett. I'm not sure who was at that meeting, but to determine where the most suitable location to try to start implementing, new sidewalks or repairing existing ones. To be honest with you, so much time has passed. I think that we should do that again. We could do it as a group. We can pick members that want to go out and discuss it and then bring it back to the board. But I think we should focus on what area do we want to start on as far as sidewalks improvements in town. And then we could, at that point, use Mike Andrade or whoever, but, have an engineer design the sidewalk improvements and get a dollar amount, what the cost would be for actual construction of those sidewalks. And of course, that will be another amount of money that somebody would have to come up with to pay for. But we do, $10,000 honestly isn't going to go a long ways in engineering costs, but depending on what we want to look at first, it may be adequate enough so that we could put a sidewalk design together that could possibly use for a bidding process or something to get a determination on what the actual cost of the work would be.
can we ask for a partial of that to be donated to us? Can we get an engineering firm to kind of throw some of that in because we're such a wonderful town? A lot of, I'm being sarcastic, but sometimes they'll volunteer some services.
Who is that?
Can we ask
Oh, you.
whether it's Mike or I don't know if there's any conflict there.
Well, if we can get a volunteer of engineering, so I'd be happy to ask. Free is always better than paying, so yeah.
Because
do we know what?
I'm sorry?
I was just saying, do we know what COVID has done to the engineering firm's business? Because I think we're walking a real sensitive line here. If they've lost a lot of business due to all of this, I would say that this is the absolute wrong time to approach anyone. And I'm not trying to be malice or malicious or anything, but I think we might want to stand down until we're kind of on the other side of this, because even though the sidewalks are important, we don't know what the state's going to do with funding. We don't know what how the engineering firms are doing. And I would just be real nervous about asking for anything during this time.
The worst I can say is no, but it doesn't ever, it doesn't ever hurt to ask. And I don't know who I was I don't know if I was at one of the planning event, but I know that with this particular grant, a lot of times the engineers will donate some of the design because just in hopes that they will be chosen later on for the rest of it. So
actually, I did that in my previous town. The engineer, they basically do the survey and design work for free to little cost, because they make their money on the construction phase of it. That's where the big dollars are. Design work, it's some money, but it's not as much construction work. And that is true that they'll often do that in hopes that they're going to receive the, project when it actually gets built.
My personal thought is that would be a great one for a subcommittee.
I do understand what Alicia's saying. However, I got to say, around here, it doesn't seem to have slowed anybody down. Of course, I'm just looking at for what work they're doing with the town. If they're getting, work from other sources, that I can't answer.
I'm just getting a lot of I get a lot of outside people, a lot of text, a lot of emails, and I see this. It seems like the planning board has been like crazy busy. I'm just surprised at how much is actually happening. So that's why I say
Yeah, us too. Jean and I can agree with that.
So I don't, when was the last time all of us have kind of been on the sidewalks down? I mean, I know not really during COVID, but see, like the big issue when the discussions were kind of, when we're talking about these sidewalks is really from like Maynard Field down to where the stores are down there, where the plaza is, where it's partially some of it's in good shape, some of it's really horrible, but there's no ADA compliance at all.
None.
I know that the town itself is looking at work at Maynard Field to do some, some compliance stuff down there, some ADA compliance, but maybe we can, I don't know if we can discuss it without all kind of being down there, but if we can kind of nudge this to get started, sidewalks is kind of like, we should have done this last year, but we were just kind of busy with a bunch of other things that were going on. We were kind of distracted. If we can kind of get a location sort of pinpointed, is there other things other than that anybody thinks is more of a priority to kind of be the first phase down? Or is it?
Perhaps the town has a detail, the highway department should have a detail of what a sidewalk should look like for this town. It's a typical procedure. If anybody goes into a town to build a road, they have to meet the approved specs from the town. Has anybody asked Jerry or whatever the man's name is, if we have an approved detail from what a sidewalk should look like?
Oh no, we do. What we're looking to do is to have an engineer come in and actually design an area. So we would have to say, so we have a $10,000 grant to kind of say, hey, we would like you to design the sidewalk from point A to point B.
Correct.
I guess our mission is to select that location and kind of vote on it and decide to send somebody to that place to design it. So we don't have very much money. So as much as I would love to say, we want it from the schools all the way to the library and, make this a walkable town. It's just not feasible. It needs to, and plus if we do a smaller piece, we can get all the ADA stuff, make sure that it's a length. So being one with way too many children involved.
Kathy, can I just add something to this? It all depends on the road you're building it next to. I mean, a sidewalk does not stand alone without a road improvement. It is a total ball of wax once you start to dive into it, because if the road is not right to meet the ADA ramp it's going on, then you're going to have to repair the road in order for it to work. I understand the $10,000 but I would think that $10,000 would have to be in a very targeted space that the road is decent, and you're going to be able to spend something to have something that is going to work, and that's your walk. And I understand with the walk and such, but it's a larger issue with gutter, with curb height, with
John, you're spot on, because when this came up before, we had talked about sidewalks between CVS and the hospital, Harrington, and then furthermore from Harrington to the little shops because of all the walkers that are down there. And that's exactly what they were saying, is that a lot of the roads that could actually, quote unquote, use sidewalks, Morton Station, Muggett Hill, don't have the size capacity and the cost to put them in because of everything you just said would make it completely impossible. And that's where this project, I think that's why it kind of came to a dead stop, because there's so much more to it than just laying a sidewalk next to a road. When a road is designed in all the subdivisions, it's designed with a sidewalk, but to put in a sidewalk after the road is already put in, had so many complications to it. At the time, it was decided to table it in lieu of other more important things like marijuana and dirt bike facilities that had come before us, because there was just too much discussion.
So if we look at the section between the community center, if we look at the section between the community center and the market, I guess you would want to call it, on That's a pretty decent section of road, although it is a state highway. Do we need permission from the state to do anything there? I mean, can we do anything on that road?
If it's in the state right away, yeah, we would need their approval from Mass DOT. However, one thing too is that the fact if you're bringing a sidewalk up to ADA compliant, and also there's always big promotion for pedestrian and also bicycle use on sidewalks and everything, it opens up for possible grant opportunities. If you're going to bring something up to ADA compliance, and yeah, there's definitely an expense involved, but the fact that you're doing it, you're making it a more walkable community gets selling points, and you're increasing the connection to existing sidewalks. If you just built a standalone sidewalk someplace, it's really not going to do a whole lot. And anybody in a grant organization can say, yeah, why? But this one where you're trying to make an extension of what's already there, has a selling point. And the fact that you're trying to take it down to Maynard Field, for instance, isn't that the field where they just had to do some work to bring it up to ADA compliance?
Was approved in the last
Parking or
town's
something like that?
budget. Yeah, with the last town's budget, they were looking at, they have to get up to ADA standards because of that. They use it as an active field with the parking and everything right there. So
Right. Well, it's just, but it actually is a helpful selling point as far as possible grant opportunities. I mean, you never know, but it's always worth a try. And always bringing up everything up to ADA standards and increasing the area for pedestrian walking and everything is always a good selling point.
yeah, John, and I know that, like, I get the road piece and all that, but it's if we don't have a design or an idea of what does, like, this isn't going to pay for new sidewalks at all. It just kind of gets a design or a plan, because if we don't have a design or a plan, we can't apply for the next section of this grant. So once we have a design and an idea and something to move to the state, there's next levels of this grant. And even though we're talking about, you know, the bad economic, what's most likely is the feds are going to probably want to help the economy by having these new grants, and it will probably be infrastructure grants. So if we can kind of push this to kind of be ahead of the game, so when new grants do come out, we can jump in and say, wow, we already have a design.
Yeah,
if you drive to Spencer, that is Route 31. They put sidewalks from the center of Spencer out maybe a half a mile past the churches. That's exactly what Route 31 should look like in Charlton with the sidewalks. That's the design. That's what the state will, that's the state design. We don't need to design anything for that because the state's going to tell you that's what it is. And if we do it wrong, and we're on 31 or say a weak road that is not approved, when the road goes in there, those will have to be taken out and put to a standard.
Well, I mean, that's fine if it's got to be designed to the state standard, and we find out what that is and say, okay, we want to put sidewalks here and design to the state standard. That's fine. But my experience too is that grants will not pay for the design work. They'll pay for engineering, construction, but they won't pay for engineering and design. So the more that we can do on our end, I mean, we're going to have to provide something. If you're applying for a grant, you got to show them what you want the grant for. And they don't want, you know, well, we hope to build sidewalks here. They want real numbers. So if it comes back and it says it's going to cost you $650,000, and it's because of, you know, so many yards of concrete and this and that, they need it spelled out. And the only way we're going to get those numbers is through the design. And if it has to meet the state requirements, we can verify that with Mass DOT. It's like, do you have a standard that we have to follow? And we'll make sure we follow it.
But the engineer,
they have a big book.
I mean,
They have a big book of standards.
I think this would be a good discussion for a subcommittee. I think that because there are so many moving pieces to this and there's just so much, I think a subcommittee could better handle this, and then they could come back to the board and say, okay, this is what we've discovered. This is the state standard. This is what we have. Because I agree that why reinvent the wheel? If the state already has a design in mind that they're going to require, let's use that.
the state is going to say, these are our standards, have your engineer design to those standards.
Right.
But that's what's
I
going.
think that's what John's
I
saying,
don't
yeah.
think the state will provide the design.
Oh,
I think we,
no, they're
All
gonna
the
say we
engineer will
want,
do is go to the state design book and design it from what the state is dictating. That's what he will do.
but doesn't an
Or
engineer
he
still
will
have, but doesn't an engineer still have to do that, John?
No.
yes.
Oh, the engineer takes it's a cut and paste thing. They have an engineer, they have a 5-foot median, an inch and I think it's a 1/4 inch per foot pitch on the road, on the sidewalk. I think it's a 5-foot median. There's a gravel detail, a base detail. Ross knows this too, and it's all in the state spec. So what an engineer does is, yes, the survey, he might determine where this goes or lays the path for it, but the detail and that is determined by the spec, what the state wants for a state road. What I was also saying, the town might have this too. A town might have on our town road, we might have that detail. And then our engineer would go that, we will need some surveying or maybe there's a road that has a gutter or has a berm that you can build up and do this with. But I've built like 30 miles of sidewalk in my life. So I think it's a great idea, but there's just a few steps we could maybe do to make sure this $10,000 is not wasted,
Right, no,
and
if
put it in
whatever,
Oh, I agree with that, yeah.
I mean, what the state will expect at the next level of grant is that we hand them a stamped plan, stamped by an engineer that says, this is what Charlton proposed to do. So however that cheapest way is, John, you can definitely, whatever the cheapest way to get that stamped design plan for a specific section of area that we can now put in the application to the next piece of that grant. So that's the thing is we don't want to wait for the next whole round. I don't even know when the expiration date, when the next round, we've already missed like a round. Let's get it done and submit to the next level to get.
definitely hold to Jerry, get Jerry in and see what
Yeah.
spot good,
Yeah, Jerry would
I
know
think John
too,
should
and
head up
he'll
that
tell me,
committee.
Yeah, John, Jerry,
Sure, yes, my wife wants sidewalks all over this country, so. I am,
but that was what, we've been looking at this.
I'd be more than happy
Alan,
to jump.
with
Oh my gosh, Alan was all over this. That's why we have sidewalks up in the village district, because he fought for those up there. And we have so many people that walk every day. They do the loop from by the police station all the way and they come around. And there's this one old man with his little spiky things that walks every day. And he was passionate about it. So yeah, John, if you don't mind, that would be fabulous if you would.
We would love your passion, John. Throw your passion right into those sidewalks. We would.
But if you notice, just it has a berm on the side of the road. A lot of we don't have berms on any of our roads. So a berm, and it's a detail, and it's a pitch, and will we have to put a berm on the side of the road in order to do that, or it's a Jerry's call, Jerry. So we're all legal and we're in the right direction, and that's
you guys. Maybe you guys can talk. You guys can talk, and then from there bring in. In the meantime, start look. We'll see if we can get an engineer. Kind of parallel it. So you. Who knows if I'll be on the board anymore by then. But kind of, this will be one of the. I think I'm certainly not the only person who really has been wanting these sidewalks. I think that with last year we were in front of the Board of Selectmen, and I think almost all of them were like pushing for sidewalks themselves.
So we had a plan that we presented or that was shown to us at one point. Can somebody dig up that plan and send it to the board? I don't know if I have a copy. I doubt I still have a copy of that.
That was a long.
I believe I might have a copy, but I'll look.
That was a plan we put together to get the grant. So let's take a look at that and see.
And then we got, and that was the next, and so the next level was to choose a section and design it and then submit that design. But I remember Alan and Scanlon both saying that most engineers will do it at reduced cost, or even sometimes, take the small 10,000 and do $30,000 worth of work just so they can get the rest of it, the building.
Yes.
Right.
That's how the village district worked.
So that's perfect. And then, and then you guys can go take a walk and see if there's a better, I just was looking at the usability of the town and what a lot of parents do, and they bring their kids to those fields. Not just me, but they bring their kids to those fields, and then they'll take their baby carriage and go for a walk, right? So if you drop your child off at Maynard, you could safely take the sidewalk, to wherever to go down and get a coffee or something like that, and add the walking loop for even the people, Masonic Home residents and our housing authority residents, the people that kind of are stuck on the walking without vehicles too.
And look how many people walk from the Overlook all the way down to the library. That's constantly used.
It's huge. So it'll certainly improve our town significantly.
I would think that the big spot to do it, going down from the center down to the two schools, the big path all the way down there. That's not.
Are you kidding? Eventually up Dresser Hill, because what a beautiful bike ride or walk that.
Oh gosh, yes.
In reality, that if 31 could have them all the way down, right, all the way.
I know we're not talking about it right now, but the bike trails too are a huge thing.
Yeah. According to my wife, there was an opportunity to have sidewalks when we did 31 about 10 or 12 years ago, and a lot of people did not, 20 years ago, and a lot of people did not go for putting sidewalks down 31. So.
No, they did not, because I was on the EDC then, and they didn't want, and what was going to happen is if they were going to put sidewalks in, the landowners were going to lose frontage. And people came out in droves against the idea because they didn't want the town to take over some of their property. Because even though the town owns a certain square footage off the road, people have plantings, they have trees, and they said, absolutely not. We live here. And they didn't want the additional foot traffic / bike traffic that they get anyway, because they were afraid that the walkers were going to cause damage. They were going to cause litter. It was this whole big poo show about how the whole town who didn't live on 31 wanted sidewalks there. But the people that lived on 31 absolutely came out against it.
Crazy.
It's funny when you think about that history of the town. But our kids do, and I see kids all the time walking from the schools down to the library, and that's just a crappy road for those kids to be walking on without.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, it is.
My kids have survived this by going on bike rides socially distant from their friends, and they're on 31, they're on Old Worcester, they're on all the most dangerous roads we've got because we don't have bike tracks, but they have to ride somewhere.
So anyways, a good discussion. I'm glad it was brought up, because I actually asked Randy to put it on the agenda, because we've been so busy doing so many other pieces, and the parts that the planning board actually gets to take credit for and to kind of celebrate the sidewalks, the improvements, the master. We've kind of been pushing that aside to deal with all the other stuff. So it's nice to have the fun, positive, kind of like community impact things, having the board do kind of.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Thank you, Patsy.
Okay, actually, just a couple more items, just as a reminder. The town elections are on June 13th, and then the town meeting is on June 15th, and the rain date for that is June 16th. I don't know if everybody's aware they're going to do it in the middle school parking lot, so it's going to be outdoors so that everybody can socially distance. They have clickers now. They have bought for voting, so I think they were out there today actually trying them to make sure that they work, and so obviously they have sensors in them. They can make sure how close you have to be to actually click and for it to activate to vote. So that's just a reminder for everyone.
Does anybody know if people are sitting in their cars, or are they going to have chairs? Do people bring their own chairs? Does anybody know those details?
I think they'd be able to bring your own umbrella. I think they're actually going to put shirts out there because they're going to make sure that they're all
Bug
spread
spray.
out. But they have to figure out what the range on those clickers were because people obviously have to be close enough if they want to vote so the clicker actually activates. But they're testing that. But I think they actually are going to have chairs. So rain or sun, you might want an umbrella anyways because it's going to be hot or wet. But the rain date's on June 16th. It's the 15th. Ends up being a rain out.
So no tailgating or anything like that. So it's not actually, hard.
Are they
And it
going
will
to
be at
Zoom that
6
meeting so
o'clock.
that the rest of us can watch it?
Bring a grill and cook up some burgers.
Yeah.
As long as we wear masks, we'll be fine. And don't gather in groups of more than 10, right? So.
Yeah. But
Ross can come if he gets his haircut.
Yeah, June 13th, that's haircut day.
Yeah, don't forget to vote. Make sure you vote that day.
Right.
No. Maybe we can entice more people to come to our town meeting if we offer those kind of perks like the tailgating. I mean, come on. If we can, maybe we can get over.
Based on the number of nips I've seen around town, if you set up a bar right outside the school, I have a feeling you'd get a whole lot more people.
Well, maybe we get Treehouse to come set up a little stand too and make it real interesting.
We'll have Treehouse and we'll have popcorn. We can bring in. We'll be.
But actually, on that, I'm bringing up my last point is because in the anticipation that Patsy may be elected to the Board of Selectmen, we have received the application for the new public safety building. We all know what the status is of it and everything, but they are still pushing forward. It hasn't been approved to be funded yet, but they are still pushing forward to have it reviewed by the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission and everyone else. So my question is, the elections are on the 13th, which means by our next meeting on the 17th, if Patsy is elected to the Board of Selectmen, she will not be available for the Planning Board anymore. And from my understanding that John's going to become a regular member, and Alicia, you are taking the alternate position, is that correct?
That is.
So, and assuming we don't have another board member at that meeting, I just have to make sure that we're going to have 4 members at that meeting to have a quorum. So is anybody aware at this time that they might not be able to attend that meeting? Or if you don't know tonight, if you can tell me as soon as possible, because it's a lot of work to review this application, not only for us, but for many departments, because it's a big project. So.
Well, there's other option, and I've been giving this a lot of thought. So if no one else runs for the planning board, so if Patsy gets the selectman and John gets my seat, if I give but 5 write-in votes, I'm right back onto the planning board as a regular seat. So if y'all write my name in, I could be a member.
I don't think that's true.
Because you can't because of the way of the elections. So what would have to happen then? They'd have to be a joint appointment. So the planning board and the select would just reappoint you to the open seat. And if you're interested, then I know a couple of people in town have approached me and have been asking me a bunch of questions about the seat too.
Oh, then by all means.
But of course, Alicia, everybody, I guess I shouldn't talk, but everybody would prefer you if you wanted to be on the board.
I am totally open to the democratic process. My idea of stepping into the alternate seat was to let someone else who might have an interest in the seat step on if someone else has pulled papers. If no one else is interested, I'm very happy to continue on. If someone else wants a chance, I am very happy to step onto the alternate and give someone else a voice. My only goal in all of this was to let someone outsider come in, and rather than hold a seat for XYZ years and just keep pulling papers, I wanted to let someone else who might have interest come on board, because I think John, who came on board as an alternate, has a lot to contribute, and I'd hate to prohibit, someone like him from coming on. So if no one steps forward, I'm happy to continue. If someone else shows interest, gets voted on, I'm happy to stay on as alternate.
And I'm assuming once the new terms start to the EDC will kind of be reinstated, and that will be fixed up. So that might give you a whole new passion with
Yeah.
Do we know if anyone else has pulled papers for the seat?
No.
Or what seat?
For
There
the
is-
open seat.
There is no, yeah, there's no
There
open
is no
seat.
open seat.
So,
Well, my seat was open, and John pulled
John-
papers, but
John-
Jen would
So
pull
that's-
papers also.
yeah. So John pulled papers for your seat because technically there's only one seat open, and
Correct.
mine won't be open until the following day. So no one could run for
Right.
mine.
But did anyone run against John?
No.
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 Okay, that's all I wanted to know. All right. So if you guys find yourselves in a position where you're looking to fill a seat, I'm happy to take it, but I'm not looking to step on anyone else's toe, any outsiders' toes who are looking to come in.
Well, I'm sure that you're the number one,
Right.
preference. So it's totally up to you. You don't have to step down for anything, I'm sure.
I'm happy to stay on if that's what's wanted, but again, I think that John, Don, not to rhyme, both hold very important seats, and they're the newbies. And if we have someone like that that wants the seat, that approaches you, Patsy, that has experience, that has, some outside knowledge, I'm happy to stay on as alternate. I love being on the board. I just want to do what's best for the board.
Well, I mean, even if they were interested, I just said multiple people in town, and I'm not going to call them out, have been kind of questioning about the seat. What's going to happen? Is it going to be open? And it's actually kind of fun to see new kind of blood in.
Yes, exactly.
But of course, you're totally time tested and know how things work, and you're very involved in the community. So and I have nothing to do with it anymore. I just, when I'm around and people are asking, I'm just, answering their questions for them. So I will, tell them to contact you guys, and you guys can do your thing and figure out what you want to do.
Perfect.
And there's also, just for everybody, there's 2 open water and sewer seats that nobody is running for. So my husband is doing the write-in seat for that, just because I actually kind of felt bad that there were open seats, and he's a bright guy and he could step in. But if that's a strong board, and
Is he on board with that now? Have you told him?
yeah.
Yeah, I almost ran for one of those, but I just didn't feel qualified.
I think that you're probably more qualified than most people in this town. That's funny. But he's a contractor, and I even if it's just to kind of get him involved in the community. But he doesn't talk, but he'll
contribute when he needs to.
He will. Yeah, he kind of he knows, really. He's like,
Oh, I think he'll be fabulous. You're right. He's not a talker, but I think when the time comes and they need his opinion, he'll give it, much like our John Smith.
yep. I know the last couple of weeks, John has really been opening up. He, very,
That's true.
I'm.
Yeah.
You're
There's a lot of
impressing all of
knowledge
us
he
now.
can.
Well, his namesake started the Mormons, so he's got to do
I
something.
know.
Right, right.
But
Quite honestly, it's just with all that. So I've been part of development companies for 30 years. So we've done a lot of different type of work and such, and just to try to streamline stuff so we're not stepping on, you hate to do something then have to rip it up. That's you always try to put your ducks in a row before you go forward. So that's all. That's
No,
what that.
So I don't think
No,
John
that
was privy with
good
that.
information.
Yeah, I don't think John was privy with that original
No.
road sidewalk plan we have. So it'd be good for him to take a look at it and just get an
Yeah.
idea of what was approved with the
Yes.
grant.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's been so long, like, what, Alicia, 5 years?
Oh my gosh, I remember when this first started. I mean, it's been a good 20 years since this conversation originally started with the village district with 31 and just different people. So the village district, so everyone knows, consists mostly of businesses that have nothing to do with the village because it's the credit union, Kamasi Masonry, MTD Micromolding. We thought sidewalks were fabulous because it was taking away nothing from our businesses, Howlett Lumber, and we didn't mind giving up a little bit of frontage because we're businesses. You talk to the people on 31, Dresser Hill, that are all personal people, and all of a sudden they were going up in arms about the fact that much like when we wanted to go up Boucher and expand the road a little bit, people had planted there. They'd put their dog fences there. They did not want us to take over their property. So although they thought that sidewalks were a great idea, they did not think they were a great idea on that road because it would affect their properties. And it's been a contentious issue in town for as long as I can remember. So a lot of this stuff, which seems like common sense, turned into NIMBY, which you would never think a sidewalk would be a NIMBY issue, actually was.
That's interesting because so all the things that I'm hearing, even the people that are living on Main Street and living up are now saying, we want sidewalks. We want our kids to be able to walk to places. We want it. It's not safe to even walk on these roads. So I wonder if the just time has changed here, or if all of a sudden, we say we're proposing sidewalks all the way up, and people are going to start jumping out saying no way. It's funny how history changes. The
20 years ago, the population was vastly different too. And so these roads were a lot less busy. So
Yeah.
you could say, I don't want sidewalks, but I can still safely run on 31 because I am safe. I can still safely bike on 31 because I am safe. Fast forward 20 years, you've got all these Boston Worcester people that have moved out here. And now all these subdivisions have caused a blast in population. And that's what's causing the NIMBY, is that people just don't want, they're no longer these huge landowners owning 20, 30, 40, 150 acres. Now you've got people that value their 1.5 acres, which they should, but they don't want us as the town infringing upon that. Whereas before, someone with 150 acres, they don't care about a couple, they don't care that you're going to expand Route 20. They've got plenty of road or plenty of room. They don't care that you want to do things. And I think that's where it's different. And that's why I think a fresh set of eyes on things like John is perfect, because you see things that we don't. You hear things that don't, and you know things that we don't.
Well, basically, it's not their land. That's what you got to tell them. It's
Well,
state right.
Mhm.
Tough luck. I think I
You
built
tell.
my wall on 31
Yeah,
land.
I think
Yeah,
that's
But
changing.
that's what it is. Just move it back a little and put that's fine,
Do you think, Alicia,
How
that's
many-
still the case? Because that was quite a while ago. Do you think now people will still have see, I hear everybody wants sidewalks now. That
I agree. I think that
especially since
today,
Oxford, the
Yes.
Oxford ones down by when you're, how you go down through Buffinville and you go into Oxford and
oh yeah,
intersection.
Yep.
all those,
Done by
everybody's
one
like,
study.
we want those sidewalks. That's what everybody, because it's nice down there.
Well, that, and because people, due to COVID, are trying to stay out of gyms. So although gyms are reopening, people don't want to go to them. I think the sidewalk movement has reached a great spot because people want to walk outside. People want the fresh air. They want to walk their dogs. They want to walk themselves. And I think that if we propose sidewalks now, they're going to be a lot better than 10 years ago. 10 years ago, people were like, yeah, no. 20 years ago, people were like, heck no. Now they're going to say, yeah, this is a great idea. So I think that we are approaching a very good time to do this.
And timing wise, I do believe that the feds will start doing these grants now to keep people in work. So, maybe it'll all kind of work out in Charlton's favor. Things don't always work
I
out in
hope so.
Charlton's favor, but it may very well work out in Charlton's favor, all of this.
Here's hoping.
All right, Randy, we gapped enough. What's next?
That's it, actually. I don't think I'm missing anything else. So it sounds like, I don't hear any issues that I think we'll still, but we're going to be starting the public hearings with the public safety building. I'm actually getting 1117 copies, paper copies, to send to everyone. They're supposed to be delivered to me tomorrow. You can actually have a piece of paper. As you can imagine, there's multiple pages of this, and there's some issues, but they're going to have to address variance issues and everything that are outside the planning board. But I just have a feeling this application is going to take some time.
Now, is June 17th going to be in the office, or is it going to be a Zoom meeting?
As so far, it's still going to be a Zoom meeting, which I even expressed my concern to Andrew about this yesterday. I'm like, this is a tough application to do through Zoom meetings. We're going to load it up on the website, but even so, when people are looking at it, a big plan on a 15-inch monitor is not quite the same as seeing the real thing, full size. So I don't know, but we're going to post the whole application on the website so that anybody will be able to go look at it. But it's still, seeing it on electronically sometimes isn't as good as seeing it in person, with something like this.
Do you have copies? Do you have copies of those now? Of the plans?
Of the plans? Yes.
Yeah. Do we have electronic copies?
Copies. What's that?
Do we have electronic copies? Can you send those out to the board now to get started?
Too. Yeah, I'd be happy to
that'd
send
be
anybody
perfect.
electronic
Then I can load it up on the
copies.
computer.
What are the
Okay.
what are the rules now? Is it 10? Can you actually have 10 people in a room, or is it what are the town hall rules on that?
Oh, they're not allowing anybody. Actually, it's two people. You have to have at least 400 square feet to have two people. Many Jane and I here all the time, but because this office is bigger, but a lot of other people aren't, and they're allowing no one from the public in the building at the moment.
6 feet apart, no more than 10 people in a zone at a time, 6 feet apart. I know we have stickers on the floors, and they're being extremely strict. And we've already been warned from Baker that if the cases start to skyrocket again, things could get worse before they get better.
And they won't. I mean, after all the big
Did we waive the
groups,
fee
the
for them?
protesters.
Sorry, Alicia.
Yeah, we're
Yes,
waiving the
we
fee,
did waive
right, for the planning board. Yeah.
We waived the application fee, but we are getting the escrow money to pay for peer review, and also they paying for the legal notice and notice to abutters.
Now, what happens if that doesn't go through on ballot?
Honestly, that's the discussion I brought up, and it is opinion, and this is before my time, and I don't quite understand it, to be honest with you, but it's been told to me that the town had voted to have a new public safety building, period.
The town
the
went,
dollar amount was not discussed. This is what I'm told. I wasn't here for. So since the town has voted to have a public safety building, that means the town will have, the only thing the town hasn't done is approve funding of a public safety building. But
Which that the town meeting is going to be flooded with police and fire because it's outside, because it's virtual. Most people will stay home, and the only people that are going to attend are going to be in favor of this public safety building. And then everybody the next day is going to be all up in arms and teed off because their taxes are going to go up to pay for such a building.
well,
You gotta
they're not going to be.
no, but
They're
this
not
is
gonna be able
the
to
ballot.
bring-
It was funded at town meeting already. It's about going to the ballot. So the building of the building, the was approved, just the funding source wasn't, but it did go to ballot and it failed, and I assume it will go to ballot again in November.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
during the presidential election, so
and
they
do-
expect to get more people.
Do we want any engineering cost or any additional costs? I mean, maybe this is a an all board question, a select board question, because it gets expensive. The engineering fees are expensive. Does the
Do
town,
nothing until it's fully approved.
does
We're
the
wasting
town
time
want
and
to
effort.
do nothing until it goes to ballot and sees, and
Yeah.
see what happens? And it's, I mean, it's, I don't know if it's, maybe that's something that we need to tell them, that it's gonna be expensive. The engineer is not cheap. And even printing all the plans and everything was very expensive. What if it needs to be, it was very, very expensive to print all those plans, I'm sure. So maybe they need to reassess a little bit before we start the process. Just,
My
Well,
thought is we
here's
do
the
nothing
que-
until it's fully approved. Why waste our time?
But see, when I started distributing to other departments, I was starting to get some pushback because everybody's in the same opinion. Nobody's approved to build this building. Why do I have to, in particular, say the health department? He's got his hands full working 7 days a week with the whole virus, and now he's taking time to review plans on a building that's probably never going to get built.
Yeah,
And,
I think it's definitely premature.
Exactly.
just
And-
a thought
but-
process before anything else. I mean, maybe it's just a discussion to be had among, Andrew and Randy and Jim, whatever. Just you guys all get, well, I guess you can't get in the same room, but get on the same call today, where just make sure
Well,
that we're not spending the town's money to spend the town's, just make sure that it, or the route that everybody wants to take, just make sure that everybody's on the same page with that. So later on, people aren't pointing fingers saying, look at the planning board, spent this much money, or the Board of Selectmen spent that much money. Just make sure everybody's kind of in on that one big decision to make sure they want to move ahead. Just to be smart, just smart spending.
Yeah, I actually had that conversation on, I believe, Monday with Andrew, and I was still told to move forward. And it's like, I don't really think it's directly coming from Andrew. I think he's also getting it from the Board of Selectmen, because, the general consensus is that nobody's really sure if this building's ever going to get built. And so now we get to spend time to review it now. If they change the plans, we have to do it again. And
Exactly.
and
They've already
the
done
planning
one
board,
set of
for instance,
plans.
we're probably going to have some contentious
right.
meetings with this application. And
Oh, no doubt. It's like
so-
having a first birthday party for a child still in the baby's womb. It is way too early, and until
Yeah.
it is completely approved, we should not be doing anything. There's no point in wasting anyone's time until this thing has been approved, because there's a lot of people in town who don't think this thing should be built.
I agree completely, and that's why I brought up with Andrew, and he was told, and I was told to keep moving forward. And
And
it's,
just, I would just have him put
I
that
think the only way we
in
have to
writing.
do the Board of Selectmen, I mean, they really need to understand that they're, everybody, they're jumping the gun as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Yes. Agreed.
Can you ask Andrew? Randy, can you ask
What's that?
Andrew? Can you ask Andrew with the Board of Selectmen, please put it in writing to proceed with this? And what
Okay.
expenses that they could be incurring?
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. 'Cause-
It's just, right now, nobody really knows. Every dollar may very well count very soon. Nobody really knows where the state budget is and everything. So, throwing away 15 grand or 10 grand, I mean, and those are small numbers when it comes to engineering. We all know that. Maybe we just need to make sure, and if that's what they're asking us, just as a consideration for their board, if they say it's their decision, move on, then maybe the planning board just moves on for them. They're gonna cover the cost out of their budget, but just kind of make sure.
Actually, the second part of that, the conversation I've had with people, other departments on reviewing this, is they feel like they could possibly use as pawns in this. Like, look, the health department approved it, the planning board approved it, the sewer and water commission approved it. Selling it to the public. And it's like, no, well, we approved an application that was for us and it met the standards or whatever. But they, you know how things can be twisted, be sold. Like, oh no, the town, everybody's all good with it. They all, the departments have approved it, and a lot of them aren't comfortable with that. I mean, I don't know if there's really much you can do about it, but I'm just saying that was that was the other concern that was brought up to me.
Yeah, we're approving, Randy, but we're not approving the cost. We're just approving what's being submitted to us as how it's going to be drawn.
Right, but that's
We're not approving any cost.
That's what they won't say at town meeting next fall. Somebody will get up and say, look, we set this before the planning board, we sent it to the health department, we sent it to the highway, everybody. And they all said it was,
and that's what I foresee as well. It's that we will be the bad people when everyone is told that they're funding a $23 million project. Well, the planning board said it was fine. No, we didn't. We said the plan was fine. And that's why I would be very hesitant to do anything until this thing gets approved fully at town meeting.
Alicia, if I'm a selectman, I'm definitely going to say that. Damn planning board. Money down. Just be prepared.
Because everyone wants a new safety building, but they don't want such an expensive one. And the moment it comes through that all these boards said it was okay, we're going to be the next Salem witches, if you will, because we're okaying something, and I just don't want that on. I don't want 10 bajillion people coming through my door saying, why did you say this was okay when I didn't say it was okay? So I don't care what kind of pressure Andrew's under. I would say, no, we're not approving anything until it is fully approved at town meeting.
And there's nothing on the warrant, is there?
No, there's nothing on the warrant for this.
That's what I thought, okay.
So it's the budget number that we're looking at. Once the budget is approved and we can put money where it's supposed to go for engineering and such, then we move forward. Until we don't know the bottom line for what the cost is, no sense.
I mean,
Well, I guess they already have.
Selectmen haven't even voted. The Board of Selectmen have not even voted to put it to ballot yet. So at this point, nobody even knows what the new board might want to do. And it is going to be a new board, whether it's me or somebody else. There's going to be there could very well be a new majority. So it just makes sense to just pay attention to what's kind of happening.
It's not even on the warrant. The cost is not even on the warrant again this June, right?
Because the cost already,
unless they got it tucked someplace I can't see.
The cost was already approved at the last meeting. So the missing piece is the funding source. So if you look at all of that cost. So now the selectmen will have to vote whether on the fall ballot they want to go and ask for 28 million for a public safety building, or they'll need to vote to not go to ballot at all, or they'll need to vote to say, let's just go for a fire station and ask for 20 million instead of the 29 million now that so it all depends, and no one really knows the dynamics of where everybody is gonna go with that discussion. Nobody knows really the new board in that piece. So I don't even know about it enough myself to understand all of it at this point.
Well, I will speak to Andrew and ask him that we would like something in writing from the Board of Selectmen to proceed forward with this application. And I believe they're meeting next week, so it could be done well before our meeting. So we can go from there.
Okay, not to change the subject, I have a quick question. Where are we with the zoning?
We're actually, honestly, we're almost nowhere.
Okay.
CMRPC hasn't touched it because of the virus, and they've been working on federal disaster relief money. We've been talking some stuff internally about it, but honestly, it really hasn't gone anywhere.
Okay.
Do they know when they're going to get back on track, CMRPC?
I think they're starting to get back on track now, as of like, just last week and this week, they're starting to get back on track again. Yeah, I spoke in the wrong Darren.
CMRPC said that they were helping with the PPP loans and that they were anticipating being completely overwhelmed and that they're finally slowing down.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they're, I've just been discussing with them in reference to the sidewalk in the lab, because their workload's finally lighting up that they can start looking at things again.
Okay.
So there's no way nothing will get on the fall town meeting. So it'll.
It might be pushing it, yeah.
So you'll probably have the May, but that gives a good time, like plenty of time to go through and do all the right meetings and community, meetings and all that kind of stuff. So, timing's still there. Hopefully the planning board and everybody else will have kind of a slow summer to be able to get caught up.
Everybody's gonna have a staycation.
Nobody's going anywhere.
But if you did, round trip tickets to Hawaii nonstop are $600, and round trip tickets nonstop to Miami are $172. Just in case you were curious.
But there's no drinks, there's no food. They won't serve you anything on the planes. It's not worth it.
And Alicia, if you want to go on a cruise, I mean, no one wants to go with me. So if you're interested, you could get all inclusive for almost nothing.
I know, that's what I keep hearing. So I look on Expedia and kayak.com every single night and just dream that I'm going to be flying away during my July vacation, knowing that my Charlton house will be my new vacation. Not what I envisioned, but it is what it is.
I'm almost willing to risk. I'm like, what are they going to do? Make me be on 14-day quarantine after the cruise? I mean, or will I be stuck in the ocean for like 30 days? I mean, it's, what's that risk that you're willing to take for, a week for $300 on a deluxe cruise line?
So I was just reading that there's some crew members on these cruises that have been stuck on these boats for 88 days. You know what? I like New York, but not enough to look at it for 88 days and not be able to come into harbor. So my view from Charlton is a little bit better, and I'll only be taking it for 2 weeks in July. It's all good.
That's because you're going to work every day. So if you're home like me every day, you're really willing. The risk that willingness to be 88 days away from your home actually sounds pretty good. I'm like, but how's the food?
Feel free to come into my office where I go every day, and then sitting at home for 2 weeks doesn't seem so bad. But being on a cruise ship for 88 days, after 7 days, I was all ready to be home, and it was a lovely cruise. So thank you, but no thank you.
I just move my laptop to a new room every day, so I think I'm in a new place. Pick it up, carry it to the kitchen one day.
There you go.
So is there anything else that we need to talk about?
No, I think.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, well, I guess the plane board
Second.
if Patrick doesn't return, it would be the best at the Board of Selectmen, and don't forget about us little people.
Good luck, Patsy.
Thank you. I was actually like,
Good luck.
the only thing about not winning would be embarrassing not to win, but I like the planning board is like kind of like my home, right? Like I feel I've been like every 2 weeks in a room with you guys for like years and years and years and years of my life.
Yeah. Good luck to Gene and John too, by the way.
You should play the Mulberry song when you get the selectmen and you leave and you do your I'm leaving the planning board message. You should have the Mulberry song in the background from Leave It to Beaver, because you've been such a staple for so long.
Yeah, it's I think Jane, right? It'll be 18 years in May.
Wow.
And I'm 44 years old, so that's a lot. I was like a kid when I came on this board with all
Yeah, because you've been on planning board as long as I've been on ADC.
the Bill Hultgren and
And don't forget, Patsy, you're going to be a year older tomorrow.
oh yeah, that's right. You have the same birthday as me, don't you? No?
No.
Oh, I forget who else has the same birthday. Somebody else in the town hall does. Yeah, I am a whole year older tomorrow too.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Patsy.
Happy birthday. You can go out and drive around and do nothing. So
Yeah.
enjoy your
I
house.
can't
find
even
the
go-
rest-
I
Should we get
can't
the fire
even go to
department,
a
the police
restaurant.
department to come
I can't even go- You celebrate from home, right on Zoom. That's what I can do.
Just think about the money you're saving.
Drive-by birthday party at Patsy's house tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Don't do a
Everybody drive by.
parade for me.
Okay.
Don't,
Oh, yeah,
no
beep-
parade, no
Beep the
parade.
horn. Beep, 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 beep.
Just-
My son and I both turned our ages in May, and I was like, let's have a drive-by. We can pretend it's just for you, but really it's for me. And he said, I'm not really that interested. I'm like, but I was. I wanted the fire and the police, and the ambulance. And
Well, you know what? You just didn't talk too positive about the public safety building, so I don't think you're going to get any fire or police in your parade. Just
I'd be lucky to get someone to come if my house is burning down. Now that
so,
So we have a motion and a second to adjourn, I heard.
yes.
you heard right.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All
And
right.
if you need a roll call, this is Alicia saying aye.
I think we'll be good. Now there'll
So
be.
Randy, I'm available on the 17th, so I'm in. So.
Yeah. I am as well.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm good on the 17th, Randy. If
Okay.
God willing,
Good.
I'm elected.
Yeah, good luck, John.
I have to fill out my finance committee thing, my pay, for the 10 signs I bought. So.
I
Let's-
haven't seen any signs.
I can
One in the
fax
middle
and
of
scan
town.
it for you if you need me to.
No.
I didn't even see. Did you actually have signs, John, that I didn't see?
I have one sign. It's green. It's the Irish flag, green, white, and gold, right in the center of town.
Nice.
Oh.
Oh, really?
I just figured you crossed out Noreen and town moderator and wrote in John and planning board.
He just did it on Sharpie on the back. That's all. It was like
That's right. That's
when the
right.
wind blows. All right,
All
night,
right, folks.
guys.
Have a good evening.
We'll see you
Good
later.
night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.